Peace and love, good people. Peace and love. So let's get into the next chart pattern. Okay, right now we have the hanging man. All right, the hanging man chart pattern. This candle right here. All right, this is a short term bullish candle. All right, short term bullish candle. So let's look at a little bit more insight about the hanging man. All right, the name hanging man is used because it has a gloomy connotation, and also because the candlestick that defines this pattern looks like a hanging man with a dangling leg. The hanging man pattern is characterized by a small red body, can be black or white, or in our case, green or red, although a red candlestick is preferred. So a hanging man, the red candlestick is preferred. Obviously, red, blood, hanging man, death. It's crazy work. A black candlestick or a green candlestick is slightly more bearish. A red candlestick is slightly more bearish since it shows that the close could not get back up to the opening price level. The hanging man has a long lower shadow that should be at least twice the length of the real body. I didn't know that. So the hanging man has a long lower shadow that should be at least twice the length of the real body. The upper shadow should be very small or non-existent. So when we talk about shadows, we're talking about wicks. All right, the candle wick. All right, so the hanging man should have a wick that's twice as long as the body of the candle, and that there should be almost no upper wick at all. If so, very, very small. So that's subjective. If you look at the picture here, they show both of these are hanging, both of the red or black candles in this demonstration, but both of these candles have wicks at the bottom and a slight wick at the top. I would probably argue that this bottom one is arguably not a hanging man, but the top one is definitely a hanging man. No wick at the top, twice as long wick as it is a candle. All right, so that's good to know. Don't sleep. Don't start assigning the hanging man title to candles that aren't hanging men. All right, red candles. Criteria that support a hanging man. So a hanging man can be confirmed by a bearish gap between the real body of the hanging man and the open on the next session. In other words, the investor should look for the next session opening or the next candle opening lower than the real body of the hanging man. The greater the gap, the stronger the signal. All right, now we talking. So it's not just about seeing this hanging man candle. All right, but you also have to pay attention to what happens on the next candle. So we don't want to anticipate a hanging man forming. Oh, this is a hanging man. We going down. Let's jump in before the candle even is complete. Let's let the candle form. All right. Once the candle is formed, we're going to confirm that this is in fact a hanging man, because there should be a gap between the body of this hanging man and the next candle that gets formed. The candle should open lower than the previous one. Lower than the previous one. So I don't know that this is a hanging man here. This may not be a hanging man, because in this particular demonstration, the next candle opens higher. There is a gap, but it's not a gap down. This is a gap up. And this candle also isn't green. I mean, it's not red, it's green. So I don't know what the heck Webull got going on selecting this one. But that's why we're reading, so we can see clarity. All right. So according to what we understand about the hanging man candle, this bad boy, there should be a bearish gap between the real body. In other words, the investor should look for the next candle opening to open lower than the body of the hanging man. The greater the gap, the stronger the signal. So that's it. That picture was an example. This is an example of a false hanging man. That's a trickery. That's a fake out. That is a fake out. Okay? That's for you who just think the hanging man is the shape. All right, so let's look deeper. Let's keep going and keep growing. A hanging man may be a stronger signal if the subsequent session shows a black real body with the close lower than the close of the hanging man. So black is red. A hanging man may be a stronger signal if the subsequent session shows a red body with the close lower than the close of the hanging man. Let's see if that happened. No, that still was not. That does have a close lower than the close. The previous candle, this green candle on the left side, does have a lower close. It opened at the bottom and closed at the top, and then it gapped up. It gapped up to create the hanging man. So a hanging man shows a red real body, but that candle was green, not red, so no good. A hanging man may be a stronger signal if it is followed by another well-formed hanging man in the next session. So this is what we talk about, tail bars. And when we say if you have two tail bars back to back, two hanging man candles back to back, oh, we lit. It's a strong signal. It is a very strong signal. Okay, two red candles pointed to the downside from a support or from a resistance level is going to be a strong signal. The longer the lower shadow of the hanging man, the greater the significance. All right, so the longer the wick, the more powerful the candle is. All right, the smaller the body and the upper shadow, the more significant the pattern is. So if it's a very small body and there is no wick, then that is very significant. That is a beautiful setup. Criteria that refute. All right, so you can see the hanging man candle, but there are some signals that this is not what you think it is or want it to be. It's important to view signals in context of prior price action. All right, that's why we have trend lines, support and resistance. What is the market structure? All of this matters when we're looking at candles. If the uptrend is strong and there are major bullish indicators before the hanging man, then perhaps the bullish momentum is overwhelming and the hanging man won't work. In such cases, it is wise to wait for bearish confirmation before acting. So you can see a hanging man, and sometimes, this is a psychological game. So they might give you, it's like when you do a multiple choice test and they give you 2 of the 4 answers that's almost right. They're just not perfect answers. That's what the market does. The market will give you patterns and setups that's really, really convincing, but they're not perfect. They're not confirmed. So you have to have the patience and you have to have the ability to discern. All right. We have to practice discernment with our discipline. All right. The uptrend may still be enforced if the next session opens higher than the real body of the hanging man. A hanging man with a white real body or green real body where the close is higher than the open may indicate weakness in the pattern. So a green hanging man is weak. So this is weak. This is weak. And Webull got the nerve to show us this. This the kind of games they play. So you'll look at this, you'll see the hanging man, you'll see this little short-term bearish notation, and then you'll be excited and you'll want to jump in and play to the downside. But when you look deeper, you'll realize that a green hanging man, a hanging man with a green body where the close is higher than the open, because that's what happens with green candles, this may indicate weakness in the pattern. All right, that's a weak pattern. There we have it. Peace and love, good people. I hope you get rich. Looking forward to some wins this week in the market. Please comment down below if this was helpful. Like this video, please. Let's get 100 likes. Let's get 1,000 likes. Share with somebody you know. Let's get this thing to 1,000 subscribers ASAP. Can we do 1,000 subscribers in May? Can we get 1,000 subscribers in May? We got 85 subscribers. Can we get 200? Can we get 1,000 subscribers in May? I need your help. Let's lock in. Peace and love, and I hope you get rich. I'll see you in the next video.